All right, guys, story time again. All right, so back, still adolescence, or this one could go back to Jesus, 6, 7, 8, 9, under 12. We had a guy called 8 Ball. I don't know his name. As you grow up, your friends who are older tell you who certain people are, and that's how the trend goes on. So there was this guy. He was slow, retarded, I don't know. But he was an adult that was mentally challenged and living with his mother. I think it was his mother. But he was one of those guys that back in residential times, you could have horses. So I'm trying to think. I think there was a stable near the high school, which wasn't too far. And this guy had a horse. Now, he was mentally challenged, but he had a horse. So you're walking around or riding your bike and you hear clip clop. You're like, what the hell's that? It's a horse. Hey, it's 8 Ball. And that's what this guy became. Hey, it's 8 Ball. And he was friendly, but as he got older, he kind of mumbled more, and the horse disappeared, and you see him, he was just, then it went from the friendly, retarded guy on the horse to he was the guy that would walk around. He knew he was messed up. And he would walk around with like a CB radio, and you could always hear it. And he would, and he would talk to it. And I don't know if he was talking to someone. He could have been talking to Mars for all we know. But he, again, left us alone, and it was just the guy around the streets, 8 Ball. Nice guy. Now, I remember walking past the stable. If you've ever had anything to do with horses, you smell them before you see them. And it was awesome. I mean, here I was, middle of suburbia, cutting through streets. This had to be mid-70s again. And it was near the end because they ended up ripping it down and building houses. And that was sad because going to high school, it was awesome. Because you go through the streets, past the stable, say hi to the horses, maybe pet them, maybe feed them, whatever. Scoop back up through the woods, get around back way into the high school. And it was awesome. That was my childhood growing up, and I ended up riding my BMX to school. And what a great time to grow up. I'm just saying. The 70s were incredible. Not just the cars. No, they ran that good, but still, boy, they had style. They weren't egg-shaped. So, let's see. What else can we pull out here? Stick a little Halloween in there, too. As you probably know, when we went out, and I was young, we didn't have, just because this, I'll just use this. We didn't have this size with a strap on it and take it with you. No. We had pillowcases. Remember that, guys? We had literal pillowcases that we would fill with candy. And I'm talking between me and my sister, 1 year. Usually we go out just once, but literally you like Santa Claus. You're grabbing it, and it would just be, because you'd go to places once, twice, 3 times, and you would just get pillowcase after pillowcase. You go to the same people, and you got these huge hauls. I remember 1 year, we had a big table, and it was between me and my sister, and throw all the candy. It had to be candy now, all types. It had to be 3, maybe 4 feet wide by 3 or 4 feet. A pile of candy, because my mother had to, clear off the table so we could dump our candy so she could go through it. Apples, no. Anything that could be like someone, because that was the razor blade era. Some idiot put razor blades and shit, and it was getting a little creepy, but as long as it was wrapped, it was good. So it was funny because between me and my sister, I wasn't paying attention to what she was doing. But my haul, that's what we called it, literally, I don't know, I'm assuming she threw half of it away. Because after there was a pile of good stuff that I could have, I remember her taking a majority of it, 2/3, pushing it aside, and she says, okay, this little pile is yours. And she went, but, and she squared off a little pile off of that pile, you can have this now. And of course, I was like, what, ma? What about all this? That's not enough. You're like, you have this huge 3-foot by 3-foot pile of candy, probably 2 feet high, and you're like, it's not enough. I want to be wired for the rest of the night. Come on. So that's what we got. And I honestly, I don't know. Who knows what happened to it? I mean, those weren't the memories that stuck, that's all. But we had awesome times. I wish I could pull up. I will save some more memories. I'll put them together. Memories from the good old days as Halloween approaches. Because the masks, the parties, wow. What a great time. What a great time. Absolutely. If I'm lucky, maybe I'll put them in with some of this Halloween stuff, some of the 60s and shit like that, and we'll do something like that. But, oh, man. So, let's see. So many memories. We had a train track that, so I was able to, the train ran behind me. And the good thing, the most coolest thing in the world as a kid, if you got home early enough from school, when the circus came in, you got to see the animals coming in on the train. You could hear the elephants, and when the giraffe went by, literally, there was a regular car, train car, and the giraffe's head was sticking out of it. And it was wild. It was the most awesome thing because it was like a, 20 or 30 freight car coming down, and you could hear it coming, and it was always the same time of year. And my mother used to say, hurry up, grab something, grab a snack, the circus train's coming by. And we were ecstatic going, it was like almost like being at the circus. It was like you're at your own house, and you get to hear elephants, you get to see the zebra, and God only knows what else. Every once in a while, maybe you heard a lion roar. I don't remember. But I remember distinctively watching the giraffe car go by. And that was like, my week's made. Being a little kid. It was beautiful. Watching and waiting the circus car come by. And then, it was really cool because the freight cars would come by, and literally, and they weren't going fast. It was like, you could hear it like on the tracks, and they would last 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour if they were really long and they were going slow enough. And these things just kept on coming, and it was like entertainment as a little kid or a teenager. You were on the back porch going, that's awesome. It was great because it was at your house. You didn't have to go anywhere. That was another great moment. If you never experienced it, that was pretty cool. And then they had, every once in a while, getting back to the trains, they had weird trains, like some kind of like bullet train or something like that. It would be wild, and you'd hear that coming down. And sometimes, every once in a while, they had a trolley. And what was really cool, the little train thing and the guy on each side doing that. Every once in a while, maybe not that old, they'd work on the tracks, and you see one of those little cars, or you see the trucks with the train cars on it driving back and forth. All pure entertainment for a young kid. It was all awesome. And then, the best of the best of the best. For some reason, the train stopped back there. I don't know why, because I don't know if it was a freight car or what, because the train station was at least 2 or 3 miles down the road. And we were on like kind of like a curve. We were in between stations. It was just literally woods and our house. And all of a sudden, you'd hear the screech of the the screech of the brakes, and you hear everything slow down. You hear the cars coupling and crap, and it was like, whoa. And just, why is the train? You know, and of course you think it hit something, or something's on the tracks, or there was always some kind of craziness in our minds of what the heck's going on. But it was just cool, because you got literally, okay, we didn't go too close. We had a picket fence with the door. And of course, being a kid, when the train wasn't there and Ma wasn't there, open the door, go behind the thing, go down as far as you could to the tracks. And of course you're listening, because those things, they weren't going too fast, but you could, just to get on the tracks was exciting. And I know it was dangerous, and I know all you people are saying, but I'm here to tell you, I survived. I've walked the tracks many, many times. And I tell you, in the sun, in the summer, it was too hot to walk the tracks. Between the steel rails, the heat coming off of that, then they had the beams and rocks. It was just pure rocks on each side. And the heat that came up out of there in the scorching sun, because there was nothing, it was just too much. You couldn't walk them too. It was just, whoo, it was too hot. And I ended up walking a little bit here and there, but it was cool. Really, I grew up with immense, not knowledge, in investigation mode type of thing, between the trains, the woods, the cemetery. Man, I had inspections and investigation stories all over the place. Like I said, I could keep telling these stories forever. But that was that. That was the 8-ball story. Come back next.